Answer the phone with somebody's garbage.
Right, I've got 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. Welcome everyone. This is the full house. Just to let you know, it is live, so everything you say is recorded. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is rich in indigenous history and home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. I have a motion that the regular council meeting held on April 7th, agenda be adopted as presented.
I'll move.
All second.
All in favor? Carried. Does anyone have a disclosure of interest? None noted. We have a number of delegations, 3 this morning, so I will just read the general bird because we're going to be pressed for time. Delegations have 10 minutes to provide council with their information. It is noted that the language and conduct must remain respectful at all times. Council will be provided with an opportunity to ask questions or clarification from the speaker on any information given to us. And council is reminded this is not an opportunity to engage in debate with the speaker or to advance a public policy position. Okay, the first group speaking is Carrie Hayward and Jeff Hunnick from Campbellford Memorial Hospital. Go ahead, Jeff.
Have to press anything?
Nope.
Perfect. So thank you. So good morning, Bob Mullen and council, and thank you for having us today. Give you an update on the redevelopment for Campbellford Memorial Hospital. And here I have Carrie Hayward, the chair of our board. And the guest, which is the dream team behind me, is the foundation. I have the redevelopment committee, and I also have Jim Curl, the landowner, with us as well. So thank you for coming. So the case for the new hospital, so our hospital was built in 1953 and significantly needs a lot of repairs. It lacks modern health care features like infection control, negative pressure rooms. We have difficulties with adequate heating and cooling and handling. The hospital continues facing ongoing overcapacity issues. In our emergency department, our inpatient room, we lack workspace for physicians and frontline staff, lack teaching space when we have residents and nursing students. Inpatient care challenges continue. We're probably one of the few hospitals that have to still limit visitors because our rooms are too small and accommodate multiple visitors in our rooms. A lot of our rooms do not have adequate bathing as well as bathrooms. Our emergency department challenges not enough beds and tight quarters, and as well as small walls and very small waiting room. And the accessibility issues continue where we have inappropriate entrances, lack of accessibility bathrooms, and minimal access for parking. Redeveloping our existing site is not functionally or economically feasible. So before I get into the vision of our new hospital, and I'd like to share some staggering population health data that support the need of our hospital. Building a new hospital on campus of care is more than just bricks and mortar. It's really our healthcare system is and will continue to face significant challenges and demands. And over the next 2 decades, the trends that we're seeing right now is a rapid population growth across Ontario. In fact, in our area, there's 18% in our catchment area growth over the next 20 years. We're seeing a significant aging of population. Seniors 65 and plus will grow from 2.6 million to 4.2 million in the next 14 years. Also, a population of 85 plus is going to double over the next 14 years. So this is leading into really increased complexity of patient care needs and rising chronic diseases. We're starting to see patients with a lot of growth with dementia, diabetes, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, cancer, kidney disease, hearing loss, Crohn's and colitis, substance use. So what we're seeing right now is people who are living with one chronic disease in the next 14 years, that will double. And we're starting to see growth in a lot of these areas. So this trend, what this means is more seniors will need hospital care, more patients with multiple chronic diseases, chronic demand for emergency and inpatient use beds, and increased pressures across the regional hospitals. So hospitals like Campbellford Memorial Hospital will play an increasing role in supporting the healthcare system, not just in Campbellford, but as a region, and supporting hospitals like Quinte Health, Kingston, and Peterborough Hospital. So our vision for the campus of care is we have 48 acres of donated land. The new hospital will focus on improved accessibility, private rooms, restorative care, new infrastructures, technology, an opportunity for new services like dialysis and MRI, where we can provide care close to home. We also have potentially services like supporting senior housing, community mental health, geriatric assessment, care, professional offices, and green space. The timeframe for our vision is 6 to 8 years. So this slide really shows that Campbellford Memorial Hospital is essentially a health services resource for Sterling Rawdon residents. This catchment area really represents a significant portion of the total geography of the population in our area. And this also shows that Campbellford Memorial Hospital is a critical partner in delivering integrated care delivered by all our hospitals, as I mentioned, Quinte Health and Peterborough and Kingston. This next slide is very important. This is utilization. So I'd like to draw your attention. So based on the residents in Sterling Rawdon who need emergency services, 24% of our activity, your residents have come to Campbellford Memorial Hospital for emergency care. And the next slide will show that your residents in Campbellford that are coming to Campbellford for inpatient use is 5%. Although this may seem low today, and that will change based on the increased need of complexity, but also the type of services that we will provide and the partnerships that we will have with our other hospitals. So I will turn this over to Carrie, and she'll talk a little about the new hospital planning and the process.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you, Council, for entertaining the delegation this morning. Currently, we're working with HDR consultants, and that involves architects and engineers, as well as people who look at demographic and health utilization data to determine the exact range of programs and services that are needed. One of the most important things about building a hospital that will potentially be used for the next 80 years is getting the basics and the foundation of that right, and thinking 10 and 20 and 30 years into the future of what that demand will be, as Jeff mentioned. It also involves comprehensive consultation with stakeholders, and including staff, other hospitals, local community members, to get their perspectives as well, and look at those trends that Jeff mentioned, as well as things like medical advancement. As you know, healthcare, if you go to the hospital today, sometimes you're in and out in the same day, even for a knee replacement, compared to being in the hospital for weeks in the past. And so one of the things we're looking at is how do we build a hospital that delivers high quality, accessible care that is uniquely designed to meet the needs of the people who use the hospital in our area. The process that we go through to plan a hospital is not unlike any other hospital in Ontario. It's a very complex process, but it's laid out in 3 big stages. The first, early planning, is getting the foundation right. As I described, what are the needs, and in broad strokes, what kind of hospital do you need, how big it would be. Then you get an approval after that moves you into detailed planning, where the engineers and architects are designing all the interiors of the building and exact space requirements. And then you put the shovel in the ground and you start construction, which will last about 3 years. And I know for many people, the discussion of a new Campbellford Hospital has been going on for years and years, but people don't necessarily realize what is that process. The red circle stage 1.2 is what we're doing right now, and we envision that work being completed at the end of this year and submitted to the ministry in November. As well, we started talking to Trent Hills about the demands for roads, sewer, water, hydro, etc., because an extension will be required out to this site. One of the things I like to say about this slide is we talk about a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is a once in a multi-generational opportunity. Given the benefits this hospital will bring to our entire catchment area. The first of it will be one of the single largest investments in Northumberland County. And as well, job growth, which will benefit your community and all the surrounding communities, as we see a 40% increase in employment on the site to having more than 500 people working there. And of course, it also brings some efficiencies and cost savings, bringing a number of health services together on the campus of care. And as well, as we said, we're consulting with other area hospitals because our relationship with them in terms of the needs we meet, that takes pressure off of Quinte or off of Peterborough. It's important because we already work as an important part of that system. And lastly, we're also looking at building on the site 50 units of senior supportive housing, which, as you know, with the seniors we already have, they're challenged living in some of our rural houses, as well as the needs they'll have that Jeff mentioned. So in terms of the financial requirements of planning a new hospital, it's a standard provincial funding formula. Only 90% of the bricks and mortars are paid for by the province of Ontario. The other 10% is provided by area residents, and that's called the local share. And one of the additional pieces, again, that in putting together a new hospital plan is that communities have to pay for all the cost of the furnishings and the fixtures and the medical equipment. So, you know, there's annual fundraising for that, which has to continue till you build the hospital, but that then to furnish the entire new hospital is also the community's responsibility. So the total local share ends up being about 20 to 30% of the total cost of the project. We're looking now at other rural hospital development and redevelopment around Ontario to look at how local share was raised in a proportional way. So to ensure there's equity amongst the communities that it serves. And we expect to have a better estimate of what that cost will be later in 2026 after we finish this current phase of planning. In terms of how you can help, and your support in the past has been helpful in terms of us securing the planning approval to begin the work we're doing right now, you could consider a resolution identifying this as a priority in the area, assist us in community engagement opportunities to include broad participation. We may reach a point later in the year where we have to push the province a little bit for provincial approval. Hopefully not, because we've had very high levels of support now, but also thinking about what are the options for future support of your municipality, given the usage of the hospital by your residents. With that, I'll close and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there questions from members of council? No, okay, I've got a couple for you now. I assume you're going to start with the hospital first and then phase in the other section.
Well, actually, the long-term care home. So some of you know Burnbrae Gardens in Campbellford, which actually is only operating about 40-45 beds because of infection control measures. They can't operate, they're full 100. They've been scheduled for redevelopment for some time. In fact, they were to be built by 2025. So they have an extension to 2030. So in fact, the long-term care home, Omni Quality Living, is working with us now and it's quite possible that they would be built or start building on the site before the hospital in order for them to meet their commitments for new beds. They're also looking at quite a few more beds. Right now they have approval for 128, but are actually thinking about 256, which will be an asset for our area given the change in senior population. And we know that that's not your first choice as a senior where to live, but eventually sometimes that's the best choice depending on the needs that you have. So yeah, they are moving ahead.
Have Trent Hills committed then to a timeline on the services and on it?
We have talked to the municipality about that. They think that that could be done within a 3-year window. We're working on the overall site plan right now to try to fast track that piece a bit, because that will help the long-term care home to determine where they'll be on the site. But also that plus a servicing capacity study will inform the work the municipality will need to do in terms of design for sewer and water extension. And of course, there may be some slight changes to County Road 30, given the entrance onto the site. So we're talking to Northumberland County about that as well.
No, it's a great set of items over there when they presented. Very fortunate. Numbers for the hospital, what is the projected cost?
We don't know the number, and one of the risks in us having a number is that that number could change once we get into design. And as we know, COVID caused a lot of change in the cost of construction. I don't know if you've got local projects that you experience that. Exactly. So we know it's going to be in the hundreds of millions. What the exact number, we don't know. And we don't want to put a number out, because if you have to go back and increase it, you know what that feels like. So later in this year, we'll be happy to come back and share that with you.
Victims going through the same process. Is there an amount you have to come up before you start work or
We have to commit at the end of, where's that slide? They're at 1.3, so the stage after we're in, which will be probably completed late in 2027, I would think. That is the stage at which we have to show to the government that we can raise the local share, because they don't want to be left holding the bag, and which is understandable. So at that point, all the work that John Russell, who's here, the executive director from the foundation, in his chair. So they're well underway working on the fundraising plan for the community, working with a very esteemed consulting firm that works across the country on that. So that part is underway. We also know municipal governments normally are significant contributors to this. So that part is, we're also starting to think about that element. And as I said, we're trying to look at this hospital serves 11 municipalities directly, 1 First Nation. We're situated in 3 counties. As you say, usage is different depending on where you live. So that's something we're thinking about, how to be fair and equitable about that, knowing how important the hospital is to all of the municipal residents.
wish you luck. I know everybody is struggling for funds at the moment, and we're all spread pretty thin. Thank you. Would I need a motion to receive this? I'll move.
I'll say.
All in favor? Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Our second delegation, Megan. Part of the Alpha project.
Is there a timer or something somewhere I could watch just to make sure I stay in the 10 minutes?
I can.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay. Good morning, Mayor and members of council. My name is Megan Bush. I'm a lifelong resident of the Sterling area, having grown up on an 8th generation property on Rosebush Road and now living just east of town. Although I technically live just over the line into Quinte West, like many other residents who live in the historic 8th and 9th concessions of former Sydney Township, I've always been proud to call the community of Sterling home. I'm speaking today to voice my support as a community member for item 11.2 on the agenda, the notice of motion to formally support the recent motions of the EOWC and Hastings County, and therefore to oppose the Alto High Speed project in its current form. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak from a resident's perspective of why I have such profound concerns about the proposed project. To date, 4 counties and 20 lower tier municipalities within the Peterborough to Ottawa segment of the route have passed similar motions saying that they are not in support, and 5 members of parliament within this segment have also released media statements to the same. I sincerely hope that Stirling Rawdon will be added to this list before long. To be clear, I support providing more public transit options for Canadians and am not merely resisting a project because it's new. I do sincerely believe that we have a voice in calling on the federal government to find a more responsible transportation project that would serve the public interest and reduce emissions, but that does not come at the irreversible expense of our rural communities and landscapes. The issues I hold with the proposed high-speed rail, and which are echoed in your own motion, are that the current project would download numerous burdens to the rural municipalities and environment through which it passes. What kind of burdens could be facing Stirling and our neighboring rural communities in the future with the current high-speed rail project? The dead ending and rerouting of an unknown number of rural roads could lead to longer response times for our emergency services, in particular for volunteer firefighters traveling to the station or the scene of a call from points across the region. While we of course don't know how many roads would be thus affected, an Alto executive stated in the City of Kingston Council meeting on February 17th that, quote, "Yes, there's going to be a lot of roads that will be severed by the new corridor." End quote. Quote. The dead ends would lead to longer times and therefore higher costs for the delivery of municipal services such as snow plowing, roadside maintenance, and waste collection. Would the township be left with these increased costs? Alto has stated that one of the future benefits for rural municipalities would be permanent jobs maintaining the completed railway. In the February 20th virtual session, I asked, how many permanent maintenance jobs will there be for the entire 1,000-kilometer route? And an Alto executive responded that there would be 5,000 permanent jobs for the entire route, plus a few spin-offs. This number has been repeated in subsequent presentations and statements. So 5,000 some permanent jobs stretched out across the entire route from Toronto to Quebec City. Even if we did happen to get a maintenance station right here in the Stirling area, how many jobs would actually be available to our residents? And is that number enough of a benefit to counter other harms? I would also ask how existing livelihoods in Stirling be affected. Rural tourism in our area largely centers on outdoor recreation like snowmobiling and ATV trails, fishing and boating excursions, and on agritourism like tours of maple syrup operations. People coming here to do these activities also stop in our restaurants, our stores, and rent cottages or other accommodations here. Should the train cut through any of these recreational ventures or otherwise severely disrupt these activities, our businesses would lose this source of income. Another major source of livelihood in our area is, of course, agriculture and productive agricultural land. To date, the Agricultural Federation of Ontario, the Ontario chapter of the National Farmers Union, and the Beef Farmers of Ontario have all released statements saying that they cannot support the project in its current form due to the threat it poses to farm businesses, rural communities, and food security. It's not just a matter of the physical footprint lost to the train's right-of-way. The fragmentation of active farmland has serious implications for daily farm operations. In Alto's virtual session on March 3rd, someone directly asked, if the route crosses farmland, will the farmer get infrastructure to access the other side, or will they have to take their equipment and travel to the nearest road crossing in order to reach the other side? Alto's Director of Land Management replied, we will be ensuring, quote, we will be ensuring every owner maintains access to their lands, end quote. Unfortunately, that response does not directly answer the question. Technically, a road crossing several kilometers away could still be justified as maintaining owner access. Repeated detours to such a crossing in slow-moving farm equipment, especially in peak times in the spring and fall, will not be tenable, and the increased costs and times may well lead to farms shutting down. There are further implications, such as disrupted drainage infrastructure and unknown planning setbacks or zoning that could be placed outside the right-of-way that could also hinder operations. During the years of construction, our roads would have to withstand heavy equipment, doing hundreds of trips back and forth, delivering tons upon tons of aggregates, cement, and other construction materials. Who pays for the intensified deterioration to our roads and potentially to infrastructure underneath? As an ardent environmentalist, getting cars off the road is certainly a laudable goal, but this particular proposal has a whole host of its own environmental impacts that aren't as easily mitigated. No matter which route is chosen, the train would be constructed through active farmland, wetlands, watersheds, and woodlots. Numerous environmental advocacy organizations, conservation organizations, wildlife preservation groups, ecologists, and other scientists have shared statements outlining the radiating effects that continuous fencing and long infrastructure corridors would have in these regions, even with conventional mitigation like wildlife crossings. That could be a whole deputation in itself, but in short, such impacts include the irreplaceable loss of wetlands, impacts on drainage across the entire watershed, and the severance of wildlife movement corridors. Real estate and other investments in the Sterling area could also stagnate for years due to the looming threat of expropriation for this project and due to the significant changes implemented by the recently passed Bill C-15. I would ask who would want to buy a house, or build a business in Sterling and risk their property getting expropriated in the near future. On a practical level, fears and anxiety around expropriation and other aspects of Bill C-15 will severely impact residents' ability to make important life decisions and have a wider ripple effect on the growth of Sterling itself. On a more sentimental level, but still just as important to many other of our residents and to myself, we have numerous generational properties in our area. I can name several 7th, 8th, and even 9th generation properties in our community, lands that have been stewarded by the same family for over 200 years. It's not an understatement to say that the loss of any of these would be devastating. In conclusion, as mentioned previously, numerous rural municipal councils, federal representatives, and a growing number of advocacy organizations on the local, regional, provincial, and national level have spoken on these exact same concerns and are calling for a suspension of the project due to the significant harms the current plan holds for our rural communities and to the land. To date, 5 MPs have released statements that they are not in support, including our own MP for Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, Tyendinaga, as well as the MPs for Northumberland Clark, Bay of Quinte, Lanark Frontenac, and Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes. 4 counties have stated they're not in support, including, of course, Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Lanark, and the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. 20 lower tier municipalities have passed motions, including going from west to east, Darrow-Dummer, Trent Hills, Quinte West, Belleville, Tyendinaga, Center Hastings, Madoc, Tweed, Addington Highlands, Stone Mills, North Frontenac, Central Frontenac, South Frontenac, Rideau Lakes, Tay Valley, Perth, Drummond, North Elmsley, Lanark Highlands, Beckwith, and Montague. And of course, both conservation authorities for our areas, Quinte Conservation and Lower Trent Conservation, have passed similar motions. Thank you for your time. In closing, I respectfully urge Council to pass the resolution on the agenda to formally oppose the current high-speed rail plan. While I fully understand that this is a federal project, at the same time, Alto has repeatedly said that social license or the acceptance of communities and of the public will be an important part of their development process. I love this area dearly and intend to stay here for the rest of my life. I earnestly and profoundly urge Council to pass the mentioned resolution. Thank you.
Any questions from Megan? Okay, well, thank you, Megan, and I understand many of your concerns. We will discuss it when we get to our resolution. You receive her delegation.
I'll move.
I'll say. All in favor? Sure. All right, the third delegation is Mary Louise Vaughn and Don Garrett.
Good morning, Mayor Mullen and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Sterling Rodden BIA. In 2025, our focus was clear: to bring people into our downtown and support our local businesses. Through events like Market in the Village, Paint the Town Red, Trunk Treasures, and our seasonal markets, we delivered on that goal. Our Friday night farmers market consistently drew around 250 visitors each week, while larger events such as the harvest and Christmas markets attracted between 1,000 and 1,500 visitors and over 50 vendors. These events are not just well attended, they are working. Businesses are seeing increased traffic and increased revenue during these times, which is exactly the outcome we are aiming for. Financially, the BIA is in a strong and stable position. We exceeded our projected revenue, managed our expenses responsibly, and are carrying forth a healthy surplus. Our 2026 budget reflects a focused and strategic approach. We are maintaining the municipal levy at $7,500 and continuing to invest in the areas that are clearly delivering results. Downtown beautification, events, and targeted marketing that brings people into the community as a whole. We have also streamlined the budget to ensure that funding is directed toward high-impact initiatives that support business growth and increase visitation. Finally, we are asking that the current BIA board be confirmed, with any updates to board composition be addressed at the next term in alignment with the updated constitution. We are confident in the direction we are taking, and the results we are seeing demonstrate that this approach is working. Thank you for your continued support, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from members of council? This year you are doing flowers downtown, you're not doing flowers?
Flowers?
No.
We have it in the budget for some flowers, yeah.
Do we? What are the changes to the constitution you're gonna request?
Actually, we're just updating. We've been working with Becky to update the Constitution. And we have a draft copy. I don't know if Becky's got it there. We have a draft copy, but we haven't had the time to actually finish it, so that's our next step. Yep.
One more question. Thank you.
Oh, do you have anything?
But in order to move forward until that constitution is finalized, we'd like to stay with the current BIA
Board?
board to be able to make decisions to pass things within our BIA as it stands now until that constitution is implemented.
It's, not explain.
Through the mayor, we are awaiting nomination letters from the property owners. To confirm that those members pay a portion of that levy.
When does it need to be, how long are we asking for an extension?
I guess that's.
We've put it out there. We just haven't got the stuff back.
Yeah, so the appointments haven't been made for 2026. We're just waiting on that documentation for the BIA before we do those appointments. To confirm that membership.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into that right
No,
now.
no, did receive the deputation. Yeah.
So mover then, please. I'll move. Remain on. So, all in favor? Okay, at this time, we have public input. Is there anyone here that would care to speak on any of the items on the agenda? No? Good. Okay, we don't have to say it. I mean, it's up to you. It's a long one, I can assure you. All right, we've got a number of minutes today, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve 7.1 through 7.8.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Are there any of those that anyone would like to speak to or ask questions on? No, all in favor? Well, that went quick.
I don't like.
Sorry. That the bylaw enforcement officers report for bylaw 26062 for March be received. Over that, please.
I'll move.
Secondary.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a bylaw officer here. Anything you'd like to speak to on that report, Kevin?
Yes, good morning. This has been brought to council because of a current trend that's been happening in Sterling Rodden with animal incidents, specifically bite incidents on residents and other animals, domesticated animals. In reviewing the bylaw with the clerk, we realized there was a lot of deficiencies and why we're here today.
So, he's speaking to 8.2, not 8.1.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay, yeah. So unless, Kevin, you have anything on 8.1, we can just,
No, you can move on.
All right, so there's separate motions in.
yeah.
All right, so all in favor of receiving the report? Carried. Now we'll do the bylaw 26017. So did you want to speak to that one, Kevin?
I just did.
You just did, okay. There was a couple of things, I think. Did you find the clarification on the?
You were right. I did declare 3 dogs maximum, but
Okay,
I didn't see the definition for 12 weeks and under is not counting.
so it also includes litters or should?
Yeah.
And the fees, I was questioning on the fees. We've never had a fee penalty structure before, so. You gotta start something.
And those fees are in line with other municipalities in here.
Okay. Anybody want to speak to that? Shall I agree? All right, all in favor then of passing here bylaw?
Sorry, is that Dawn and Grant putting that on the floor as well for 8.2?
Yeah. All right, well, you can run away then, Kevin. Go and hand out some tickets. Okay, the next one is the building inspection report. Mover for that, please.
I'll move.
Seconder.
I'll second.
If there's any questions on that report? We've had some very quiet months. I think it looks like it's starting to turn around now. All in favor? Fire chief's report. Hey, Carolyn?
Sorry, just keeping up. 8.4, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Can I have a mover that the fire chief's report be received?
I'll move. I'll second.
And Derek, anything you would like to point out?
To the chair, mayor and council, good morning. Just that we've been working hard with our training right now. It's been going well for certification to meet our July deadline. We're in the middle of doing a firefighter 1 certification right now, and we'll be doing our firefighter certification 2 coming up soon as well. Just a kind of reminder for the public and stuff is that we know, well, today kind of throws it out here. We did get a bit of snow this morning or whatever, which is kind of helps us out a bit, but we have had some grass fires already this year and then the community in the area in Hastings County and our neighboring partners. And just to make sure that everybody keeps a good eye on, we may be changing. You may see some burn bans come on here because of the dry grass and that, but I know we got snow today, but that kind of throws that out the window. But it is very dry once that goes, and once that dries, the wind does hit it. We are getting some conditions and stuff right now that are very pertinent to getting big fires and stuff, especially with the winds and stuff we've been getting lately. So just everybody to keep an eye on that, and it's important. Like you may see some burn bans come on from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning just because of the dew factors. At night is a little higher. It makes a little less chance for fires to burn. So from that, also speaking to a purchase. I don't even want to go with that there with the to the CEO.
I'll let you speak to it, and
Okay.
there will be an amendment or another resolution that we will be requesting.
Okay, good. No, just the purpose, we have, we did get our approval from the, as you know, we've got a grant for fire protection grant to purchase a solo decon washer. We went through section 5.4 the procurement policy just due to suppliers for that piece of equipment. We've looked at some of the other pieces of equipment. This is the only one that has 10-year warranty on it for one thing. The other ones have 2-year warranty. The other issue is that it is this one here is certified to do any air pack if they're an FPA. The other ones are not certified yet as of yet to do all the air packs, and we will be doing our MSAs, Scott's from Tweed, and maybe some of our neighboring fire departments that have different kind of units, and this would be certified for any of the air packs manufacturers. So that's the reason for that.
Any questions for the fire chief?
So what is the fire ban status at the moment?
Right now, we're at full no ban because of today, but we will, if we get later in the weekend, it's supposed to warm up, we probably will be going to a 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. until 7 a.m., which a lot of the other municipalities are kind of following right now, which will be, you'll go out to campfires at night and stuff. I mean, or if you want to have some small brush fires, but I mean, people within daylight is kind of gonna put a little smudge on the, basically part of the fun, but on the grass fire or campfires and the brush fire burning is going to be kind of limited through that group or whatever. If it does get nicer or wherever we do get some wet conditions, we will have some open it up, but as of right now, we'll be probably going in the next day or two here to 7 till 7.
Okay, to keep people from calling the office of you, how do they find that information?
Oh, yes, yeah, fish flag. So we do have a website, srfd.ca. If you go onto that, it'll give you burn conditions anytime, and it'll also, if you do phone into the office at the 02-395-0214, it also has the conditions on there, but it's easier just to go to the website, and it gives you an update of what you can burn, what you can't burn, and it'll give you a message there as well to tell you what the conditions are and what is allowed to burn at that times.
You can sign up, so those
Yes,
sent
yeah.
to you automatically?
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody that goes on there, you can go on our website. There's a section on there that goes to sign in. Sign in there, put your email address in there, and you'll be updated. Automatically get sent an email to as well for the update status all the time. Whenever I change it, it'll automatically send you an email to tell you what the status of the burn. It's a lot easier if you have that. Automatically get that conditions, whatever.
I've used it for a couple of years and it's very effective.
Yeah, no, it works very well. We have that, and it keeps you a lot of the neighboring fire departments doing the area have it as well too. So
And where do they get permits?
permits can be purchased at Hardware in Sterling, McEwen Motor Sales, and here at the office at the municipal office.
During business hours?
Yeah, during business hours, yes.
And that website, is it a separate website from the municipality?
Yes, it's a separate website. There is a link, I think, on our website too, but to send it to, yeah.
It is linked.
Yeah, it's linked, yeah, to the municipal website as well. So yeah, it'll put you over there. It gives you, there's some good stuff on it too as well for fire prevention for the kids and for adults. Also has like little games and stuff that kids can play on there, which is kind of neat for fire prevention. So, and there's some other stuff on there as well for important information about fire safety. So.
Anything else for Derek? All in favor? Carry.
Sure.
Madam Chair, there's another resolution, sorry, which is not on the agenda, but with regards to the discussion in regard about the washer, we do need a resolution that would exempt from the township's procurement policy by law 1563-22, the requirements for the procurement of that SCBA washer. Because it was a single source. And so we will need that resolution adopted by council.
Okay, so you just need a mover seconder.
I'll move.
Thirty, second,
Second.
Don? All in favor? Moving on to 8.5, can I have a mover that the Economic Development Officer's Report, ECD 260-055 for March 2026 be received?
I'll move.
Don? and Grant, and good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So a little quieter the last month, but we had a couple BIA meetings. Attended the ultra high speed rail project proposal. I did a teeny tiny summit. That was a virtual event. They have one coming up in person in Burley Falls in May. I put out the advertisement for summer music nights. I had close to 35 interested musicians. So now it's going through them and choosing 8. We have our community tree giveaway coming up May 4th. The automotive flea market, May 2nd and 3rd, and our mobile hazardous waste event on May 30th. And I've done an update on Canada Day, working with Richard from the arena. They'll be celebrating 50 years. So we'll combine the 2 events. From 4 to 6 will be more at the arena. Richard will have memorabilia set up with pictures that the fire department agreed to come right behind the arena and set up things for kids to do. And then we over at the fairgrounds at 6 o'clock, we'll have the barbecue, face pounding, bouncy castle, and the fireworks. Richard's working on getting some sponsors for the event, and we're hoping maybe some of the musicians we don't choose for the summer, we could have a few of them playing that day as well on Canada Day.
Any questions for Michelle?
Just a little more information on the tree giveaway. Have we got much response yet or not?
Yeah, I've probably had about 20 residents reach out so far.
Okay, and they just need to come in and
They
fall.
call in and then they pre-book.
we're 5 per person. Was that
Pardon?
5 trees per?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll have them all ready on May 4th for them to come in and pick up.
And that's a no charge.
Yes.
All in favor? Okay.
We'll turn it over to Grant at this point.
8.6 is the environmental manager's report. For March 26th, they received.
I'll move.
I'll second it.
We haven't got our environmental manager here. I guess everyone has saw the report. I don't know if there's any questions there.
Just more of a statement than a question. Matt is on the Source Water Protection Committee board. And I see the province has not accepted their nomination for chair of that board. I kind of like an answer from the province why they're doing that. The gentleman that they've turned down is just extremely qualified and has had that position for a number of years. So
Was there any reason given?
no,
Not at all.
not that I'm aware. So
Do you, Mr. Mayor, did you want a formal request?
I think we should, yeah. The letter and say why was Bill Hunt turned down. He was one of the authors of the Walker's report. I can't think of anybody more qualified.
We need a motion for.
Yes, that's probably.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor? Carried. That's
Well, unless we did get approval on the ice storm funding.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we did, the MISA, they call it Municipal Ice Storm Assistance Program. We were approved up to $122,000 based on formula that they have. We may not be claiming that much, but there was work that was done in 2025, as well as this work that the manager of environment services is referring to as be done in 26. And Manager of Public Works as well has some additional work for tree cutting that's going to be using those funds, and that's all in the budget. So we have accounted for it, but it is very helpful and we appreciate it. There wasn't a major announcement that was done for us. We just received a letter.
So can we send a letter thanking them?
Let me get a check.
Stay on the good side for change, or try.
Is that something we should announce publicly as well, or we have that fun?
Usually those announcements are done by the province and they haven't reached out to us to talk about. I believe there may have been something that was
It was on the
done
radio.
Was one, but
on the radio. Yeah, it was.
Did 4 or 5 municipalities at once. We were one of the ones named in it.
and we did significantly better than some. Now, it was related to the amount of damage, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but
It had to do with as well, one of the things, the difference is that we used contracted services because we didn't have staff complement that could deal with the problems at the time. And by having to outsource and get additional help, that's one reason we got more money back. So it really was costly for the township and it is helpful to get funding.
Very good news.
call voting this.
Yeah, I call the vote, you know? Yeah.
Did Greg call the vote? All those in favor?
Then we're at 8.7.
Okay, I can do. The stormwater annual report, we need a mover to receive that.
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
And as usual, Matthew's done a really good job. There's some very interesting statistics in there. You know, big challenges moving forward. All in favor? 8.8, with staff report environmental 26056 regarding the 2025-26 water compliance inspection report be received and further. And staff report back to council on the compliance with required actions identified by the ministry. May I move for that, please?
I'll move.
I'll second.
I believe Matthew has already addressed the concerns. All in favor? And it was simply a reporting is matter.
Well, I'll go on to 8.9. Motion with the public works managers promoted on the board. Moved by Grant, seconder. Second by Don. All yours, George.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, and guests. Going to give us a report for this 2 months, I guess it is. Combined, this was. Yes, so if there's anything there that you have any questions on, by all means ask.
I got a question.
Sure.
Dave Ray was presented with an award,
That's long time service.
long time, sir. How many years?
It's over 30.
I think it was 35.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He's as old as the dust on the walls up there.
He's graded a lot of roads, that's for sure.
Yes, a lot of historical knowledge.
He's actually at 38.
38.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think Richard has 40. Richard,
Yeah.
we should get him at a meeting to present the things.
Yes.
The 2016 Ford Explorer.
Yes. We're trying to finish out the patrol season with it. Yeah, there's some issues with the heater and still some issues with the exhaust. We're just trying to get through the season. We ended up putting a wheel bearing in it and a ball joint the other day. But we didn't want to fix any of the other stuff as it will be getting replaced out the fleet this year with the 14 Dodge from the north. Which will stay in services through the year, but also be our patrol vehicle till it wears out.
Okay, so basically we're not spending anything on it.
No.
Going forward. Okay.
No.
Good.
Anybody have anything else for George on this report? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have 8.10. Procurement of remote control lawnmower. So we need a motion of staff report. PUB 26-063 regarding the remote control lawnmower be purchased from Holly's Garage in the amount of $56,000 plus applicable HST.
I'll move.
Moved by Caroline, a seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Don. Any more questions? All in favor? Carried. And then 8.11 is the gravel tender. So we need a motion that the manager of Public Works report 26-064 regarding the correction of the tender results. Crushed granular material be received, and further that the council approve that the 2026 crushed gravel tender be awarded to Danfer Construction in the corrected amount of $254,394.28. And net of applicable HST.
I'll move.
Moved by Don, a seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Caroline. Any other questions on that?
That's comparable to last year, George.
Yeah, it's very comparable to last year. And just to give a little report, we went to the 5/8M, which is quarry stone, and it has held up a lot better. Last fall, we didn't have the grading on that type of material that we did normally, and it held up good through the winter as far as potholes in the spring as well.
On the roads.
Yeah, a lot less maintenance on it, seems to be.
Good.
All in favor? That's carried.
All right, this one's come back to me, so this is the 8.12. But the staff report, clerk 26057, regarding the adaptive of a bench and tree donation policy be received, and that the bench and tree donation policy be presented and be adopted, and further that the bylaw 27/026 list as listed on this agenda being a bylaw to establish bench and tree policy for the township of Sterling Run be approved. Can I move that, please?
I'll move.
Second.
I'll second.
Any questions, any comments on this one? Shall I?
Thank you, your worship. I think most members of council were at the Parks meeting when we went through this, but just to update, because I know it wasn't a public meeting, or was a public meeting without video. This policy has been updated. There was one previously, but it's been updated so that it's more specific about making the donations and what the costs are for the work that would be completed and what the amount of money that we would be requesting for each of the different donations. So there's two, at the committee level, they actually took the benches. There was about 4 different varieties that could have been chosen, but the committee is recommending this Meglin model bench be procured. And that gives the direction so that we can go ahead and purchase some before and get them installed once the funds are coming in. So and the same thing with the trees, that people need to make application. There's some specific dates that are in here as well about when they need to make the application by, so that they can actually get something installed within that current year. So the Meglin bench is shown on in the appendix. See, answer any questions. The difference between the price of the bench and the donation request is for ongoing maintenance for benches for 5 years and for the trees for 10 years.
The Magdalen bench did include the plaque as well. Was that?
That's my understanding, yes, and it did. And sorry, and there's also installation costs as well that's included in that donation.
And just to mention at the last BIA meeting, Mary Louise indicated that they had, and I think Rob was at that meeting as well, that Mary Louise indicated that she had sourced some of these benches that were discontinued that we use downtown, and they would be available for considerably less money, but they are the same style. So I believe the BIA is going to be proposing that.
Okay, she'll need to speak to the manager of public works so he can confirm that it is the same style, make, etc. And if there is a change in the pricing that's being requested for the donations because of a different price level, then we'll come back to council with a resolution just to make an amendment to the policy if this is adopted today.
Okay, so should I suggest to Mary Louise that she contact George about that?
Yes.
Will do.
Any further questions on that? All in favor? Okay. Items 9.1 through 9.10 is correspondence, and a mover to receive those.
I'll move.
Seconded. Second. Are there any questions on any of that? I know the library report was very well done. The senior of the year, we'll post that to the website for nominations. Okay. The rest of it's fairly self-explanatory. Yeah. Development charges, we don't have a lot of details on that yet. We're still waiting to see where that's going to wind up. It's not good news, I can assure you. No questions? All in favor? Okay, 10.1. That bylaw 23026 being bylaw to delegate certain duties and action during the restricted period lame duck after nomination day or the election of a new council be read and passed on the 7th day of April 2026. Mover for that, please.
I'll move.
Second.
I'll second.
Do you want to speak to that, Becky?
Thank you through the chair. This is just stemming from the report that was presented at the last meeting where we got direction to move forward with this bylaw.
Okay, nomination day is. This is August 24th when that kicks in. All in favor? Yes. Corporate resources. 10.2, the bylaw 24026 being a bylaw to establish policy for the use of corporate resources for election purposes and to repeal bylaw number 1532-22 to be read and passed on the 7th. Okay, move for that, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor? I think we talked about this earlier. With bylaw 2526 being a bylaw to provide for the regulation and restriction, keeping and licensing of dogs, including the proper installation and maintenance of kennels within the township of Sterling Rudden, and to repeal bylaws 759-10, 703-09, 382-034. 295-02 be read and passed on the 7th day. Move for that, please.
I'll move.
Second. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, so
Oh,
Kevin,
sorry, I meant to ask, is this at any additional cost to the township? If we're looking at.
no, actually, it's just,
facilities or-
I mean, we're paying Kevin now to enforce it, so this gives him some, something to enforce.
But will there be any building of additional facilities, kennels, pounds?
They currently have to apply anyway, so that portion has not really changed. But it will give us the ability to find if they're not meeting our requirements.
Thank you.
Okay, next one, 10.4. That bylaw 26026 being a bylaw to provide for the issuance of building permits, demolition permits, plumbing permits, change of use permits, sewage system permits, and swimming pool permits, and fees. It's to set fees for the same and to repeal bylaw 5823 be read and passed on the seventh day. Move for that, please.
I'll move. Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
We haven't got Richard here, but I understand this is just updating of the fee structure. And all members of the building EASB use the same
Yes,
structure.
that's correct. This is actually comes back from that BISB meeting. So it's the same, there's no changes, there's no increases. There was just that one amendment. The clerk, refresh.
Yeah, through the mayor, it's an addition for the alternative solutions with wording change.
It's very beneficial to have the same fee structure across all municipalities. It's worked out very well for both staff and applicants. Okay, do we have to keep repeating ourselves here again?
I read this one for you if you'd like.
Well, this is the bench and tree one again.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this is because we're at the bylaw approval stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the bylaw 27-2026 being a bylaw to establish a bench and tree donation policy for the township of Sterling Rodden be read to pass the 7th day of April 2026.
I'll move. I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, and the next one, 10.6, is a bylaw 28026, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a contribution agreement between the Sterling Rodden Business Improvement Area, Board of Management, a local board established by the corporation of the Township of Sterling Rodden, and His Majesty the King and the Right of Ontario as represented by the Ministry of Rural Affairs for funding of the Rural Rod Program. Community Development Stream be passed on the 7th day. May I move for that, please?
I'll move. I'll second it.
Do we know what he's actually proposing? Yeah, it's something to do with cyber, but it's not very clear.
Through your worship, that is for cybersecurity training, and there'll be different sessions that are being set up at the library. So they'll be able to train and talk to and do some work with business owners as well, so that they have appropriate cybersecurity. So that's what the $10,000. It's actually $10,000 is going to the BIA, and the BIA has proposed this project to work with.
Okay, but
So that's top.
there's an individual's name on it. That's the,
Don Wright, he owns Cybertech, so
okay.
he's the one that's doing the actual training and working on the program, and he's working, like I said, in conjunction with the library.
And if there's any issues with funding stream and so on, they're responsible for this or just the council? Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions on that? All in favor? Here. Don't have an app for the next one, but the next one is the agreement on the landfill, the bylaw 29026. Being a bylaw to authorize the township of Sterling Rodden to enter into an agreement with E360 Solutions for the provision of a large and bulky waste disposal at municipal landfill sites to be read and passed on the 7th day of April.
I'll move.
Second. Do you want to speak to that, Michelle?
Sure, thank you, your worship. The, so as discussed at the last meeting of council, approved by council, we are entering into the agreement with E360 for the disposal of the, whatever is at the landfill site. And the recycling bins that are there now are going to be removed, and this has already been started with advertising to the public with signage as well as through social media. So that effective May 1st, there will no longer be any dropping of recycling at the landfill, because there is a provision that all recycling can be picked up at the end of at each person's residence.
In the past, we had bins there for recycling and we had bins for steel and construction waste. I believe was it Reed? Was collecting them, so we will no longer have those services available. The bulky goods will be done by 360. And there will not be recycling at the landfill because we're no longer receiving funding. Any further questions on that one?
but we receive funding for if you picked up the end of your drive.
Yeah, sorry.
That's-
It's either or.
Bob, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what happens to the construction bin?
Well, E360 will be picking up or changing companies that are, it'll still be there.
Oh, it'll still be there?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering, because couldn't imagine putting construction stuff out to be picked up.
No, that bin will be there, but we're changing. It's complicated.
No worries.
It's just recycling. That's.
One thing led to another, led to another.
Boyce mentioned that to me this day.
Good.
By the way.
Yes.
And the steel bin is still there as well.
Yes. Yes. Okay. We're up to 11.1. And this is a resolution from Don. Did you want to speak to that one, Don?
I can. I made the motion, made your seconder. Nobody wants to say.
I'll second it.
I'll
No, you were
forego
there yet.
the whereas, that's pretty straightforward, it's just from before. Carry on with, therefore, my eyes working. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the township of Sterling Rodden direct staff to review traffic and parking regulations, and that the loading and unloading of buses in the area of Henry, of the Sterling Festival Theater, but not limited to West Front Street, Henry Street, George Street, Emma Street, and Elaine Crescent, and report back to council any necessary bylaw amendments to ensure that the safety of residents, visitors, pedestrians, and road users, and further that the council of corporation of Township of Sterling Rodden direct staff to collaborate with Sterling Festival Theater to develop a traffic control plan and process utilized during theater promotions and to convey to their patrons accordingly. This has been going on for how long? I can't remember. But I think the big problem is when this first was brought in existence, everybody was on board. But since then, we've had changing of staff from not only the theater, but likely school staff. We have new bus companies now. And all this information that was good before and it created a good atmosphere has gone by the way. So I think we've approached the theater to kind of generate something, but it hasn't come forward. And definitely we have to do something for the school buses. Like the last matinee they had last year, they were parked 4, 5 deep on Emma Street, side by side, 2 lanes, and kids were going between buses to get to other buses. Now, what a safety feature is that? We had at one time, there was spots for two buses to load and unload on Emma Street. And as a bus was loaded, they called back down to where the buses were waiting and another bus came up. Nothing, that was good, everything went good. And I think we have to go back to that system. I've spoken to George, and I think we need some updated signage because it can be confusing. I think we have those 2 spots if we signage that properly, it will have this issue back. So George and Kevin and I are gonna meet sometime in the next week or so to get these straightened around. Another issue that kind of came to light in the March break time was there was a matinee and it wasn't school because the school kids were out, but it was parking on Front Street. And there was, I happened to go to the drugstore that day. There was, I counted 9 vehicles illegally parked on Front Street. 3 in front of the library. And the last one had at least 10 inches of its rear end sticking across Emma Street. There were 3 on the opposite side of the road. And the farthest one up, going west was approximately 6 inches away from a fire hydrant. And then we had 3 more down on Front Street at Henry Street. And the car closest to the bank, it had at least 6 inches of its vehicle sticking out into Henry Street. Well, Friday afternoon is pretty busy. But I talked to George about proper signage there. There are 2 areas have proper signage. Unfortunately, the one in front of the library, it has road lines, and with snow on the ground, you're not gonna see them, so I think we're gonna change that, but the police have said it's a municipal problem. And if we're going to ticket, then that means we have to bring our bylaw officer in on his off days, or possibly a day when he's someplace else. I talked to George and he suggested possibly we make it a tollway zone, which means that these vehicles would be removed. But I think first of all, the theater has to get on board with this, like for their patrons, peace of mind. There should be an announcement before the show. If you're only going to park, move it, or you're gonna lose it. And, you know, to me, that's simple. I think we have to do this because somebody's gonna get hurt. And then we're responsible because there are streets. So, like I said, I've talked to George and we are gonna meet to bring the signs up to date. And then we'll just take it from there. So I think we need your direction now so we can do this. And then any changes that we're gonna make, we'll bring back when they're done. Any questions?
Well, just a comment, we had a terrific system in place that worked for years.
And I think it's because of the changing of staff. Somewhere that direction got lost.
But what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
can the staff be reinstated, or not reinstated, but trained in the system that was in place for years and worked terrifically?
I'm hoping so. I think where possibly it's gone is because the theater phones their schools about whatever. And then the schools look after the buses. And we've had, like I say, we have newer companies now with buses that weren't here like back in the beginning. So therefore their drivers aren't used to what is legal and what's not legal on Emma Street. So this is where I think we have to have new signs. So that's clear.
Well, and in your motion there is asking for a plan to be developed, so.
Yeah.
The theater, if they gotta be reminded every time they have a show, then that's what's gonna happen, I guess. You have a plan that you need to follow,
Yes.
Through the chair.
because that's what's not happening.
Through the chair, I think Don's, I know, spent a lot of time on this because he pestered pretty solidly, and it is a safety thing, but I do agree that it starts with the theater.
We know it can work.
Yeah, we do. I think maybe we should have where a reminder is sent out to the theater at the start of the season to make sure that their schools know, and that's passed on to the bus people. I hate like heck to have to start finding bus drivers, but if that's what we have to do, we have to do. These illegal parked cars, I think the removal, that only has to be once, and it won't be too long for that gets around, but again, I know at one time, before the show started, there was an announcement made on stage, if you're illegally parked, you better move them. And I don't think that's done anymore. So there's a suggestion we can make to the theater. There was a resident that was told that somebody from the theater would come out every day before the show and made sure cars were parked legally. Well, so he sat on the bench and never saw a soul come out, and these 9 cars were illegally parked. So I think we're being told things that aren't true, and so we'll have to enforce that into it. It's just something like, first of all, we've got to straighten up this bus situation, because some child's gonna get hurt. That's all there is to it. We can't have kids running between buses to get to other buses. And if we're only limited to 2 buses there, that won't happen. Then we can take it from there as far as the illegal car parking.
One very quick way, I so appreciate all the work you've done on this, Don. I know it's been a big effort. I think it's a great idea that staff be directed to come up with a formal plan for the theater. And since I was the one who put the original plan in place, if I can be of any service, please let me know.
Okay, well, it's unfortunate it's come to this point, but I think we've talked about it long enough. We need this resolution, and thank you, Don. All in favor? Now, I'm not gonna read the next one. It's in front of you. It's the resolution on the Alto. Basically, it mirrors the resolution from the EOWC and the county. What the short version is, because of the lack of detail that has been provided, I think they create a lot of their own problems, but based on what we have been provided at this point, we can't support the project as it's presented. Mover for that, please.
I will move.
Any discussion on that?
Who was the seconder, so I can.
Peter, Don.
Okay.
Pick one.
Thanks, but I'm very-
All of us.
All in
We
favor?
all move, we all second.
Okay,
Was that a call for vote?
is there any other new business at this time? Okay, I need a motion to move into closed session in accordance with section 239, 2A, B, D, and K. Mr. Black. Move for Colette, please.
Brandon, I'll move. Seconder. I'll second.
All in favor?
And just before, so through the mayor and to all those present and tuning in, as we do not anticipate. I don't know if that's throughout that. Motions coming out of closed session, we're gonna cease the live stream at this time. All motions, resolutions will be recorded in the meeting minutes accordingly.